so I'm not going to change how I play or who I am. I think that I'm going to shoot the open ones. I'm going to shoot the good ones. I'm not going to take the bad ones. And just be who I am. Like you said, I think I shot at a really good percentage. I want to shoot a higher percentage this year, but with more volume. I think that with more minutes, I get more opportunities to shoot more threes. But when I'm open, take them. When I'm not, drive it. So don't try to change too much. Try to shoot a higher percentage again. But it's definitely not a percentage thing I'm worried about. Just making sure I'm taking the ones, when Nikola and Jamal and those guys set me up.
Oh, let's go to Browntown, boys.
Oh, I love going to Browntown.
I got my ticket.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets season previews. We're on to Christian Braun. Big year for Christian.
Big year.
Third year is always the breakout year. They always think it's the second year. It's the third year.
That was my breakout year. Third year.
Third year?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe Christian is a lot
3
like
years
you
old.
in many ways. Let's go to last year's big question, though, to kind of set the tone here. Last year's big question was just how good can he be defensively? I feel like it was a very good question, and I feel like the answer to that we now know is very good.
Yep.
In fact, better even than KCP at some, but not all, defensive matchups.
Yeah, I think we can put Christian Braun in the category of elite defender.
I think so, too.
I think we can put him there. He showed that in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, he showed it again against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
But, Dev, it does raise a new big question. If defense is a box checked, the new question is offense. Does he help or hurt the offense? I feel like that's the question now that he's going to have to answer this season.
Yeah, it's going to all come down to if he's able to knock down the three-point shot. Because they are going to try to bottle up. They are going to try to allow him to stay open and take those type of shots. Can he make them? Because I do think that he opens up the offensive ways of, like, he is a slasher. He works well alongside Jokic, but everybody works well alongside Jokic. How can he, generate offense in different ways with maybe a Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr.? Can he facilitate and do those other things that opens up the rest of his game? Or is he going to be out there as an offensive decoy, but only out there for defense? That's the question to ask. I do think that he is going to be a better offensive player this year. He's going to have the opportunity. He is not a player that turns down too many shots, although there were some last year. But, again, this is an opportunity for him to showcase the rest of his game. It's time for him to explore.
I think if the Nuggets rolled out the exact same offense that they had last year and put in Christian Braun for KCP, he'd make the offense worse. So that's why I think it's on the Nuggets to tweak their identity a little bit.
That's a good point,
to
man.
change their philosophy slightly and adjust. Because Christian Braun is a different offensive player than KCP. He's bigger. He's stronger. They've got to use that stuff to their advantage. So I think he can go into that lineup and the Nuggets don't miss a beat offensively. I think that's on the table. They've just got to adjust a little bit.
There probably is a chemistry catch-up thing as well. Not just that he has the biggest role in the world, but those five guys were so comfortable playing together.
Yeah.
I don't think Christian's a huge wrench in that equation, but he is a new face, a new factor. I think in some regards he'll take a step back, like KCP put the ball on the floor maybe better and more often than he got credit for. Not a ton, but he could. I would say more than Christian. Maybe at this point in his career, a slightly more capable or scary three-point shooter, although that can be overstated. To Wynn's point, 2016, 2017, the Nuggets had a lot of cuts, a lot of movement, a lot of off-ball stuff. Now, you don't want that to interfere with their bread and butter and what Murray and Jokic are trying to do. Can Christian Braun become an active cutter? Can he crash the glass? Can he help restore maybe some of the things that Denver's offense has lost over the years? That's the big question for me. I think offensive rating-wise, they might be a touch worse, but I think Braun has a chance to help them rebuild the identity, to Wynn's point.
Here's what I think. Shooting is simultaneously the most important and most overrated aspect of basketball in the modern NBA. It's supremely important. I'm not trying to diminish it, but it is not the only way you can be impactful. And if you look at last year, first of all, KCP only took 10 or more shots 19 times. More often than not, he's taking only a handful of shots. I think Christian will be even less than that. But what KCP also didn't do was offensive rebound. Just once in the entire season, do you have 3 offensive rebounds? 7 different times for Christian Braun, including a game with 5 and 3 games with 4 offensive rebounds. That's what he does. And you asked about cutting. He cuts so hard. He's the hardest cutter on the team. He's a big body. He can be a great screener. I think he is going to impact the offense in the regular season in a very positive way that is not going to lower Denver's offensive productivity with that starting lineup at all. In the playoffs is where it's a little bit of a different story. You game plan for things, and I think that'll be a challenge. But I think the offense is going to be surprisingly consistent from what it was last year. That's, I mean, it's kind of a bold prediction, but it's really just our first big question. The three-point shooting, though, does matter, and that's why we got to play a little closest to the pin and ask, well, just how good will he be on his three-point shot? Dev, I'll let you start it off. Predict it.
I think he shoots about 37% from three.
Ooh.
He was higher last year,
lower than
38.4, but I'll be on smaller volume.
It's a smaller volume. He's going to have a lot more space to shoot. He's going to have a lot more opportunity. They're going to dare him to shoot a lot of nights. Some nights they're going to go in, some not so much. But I think that with more shots taken, that like alters, the points. But I do think that this is going to be a renaissance year for him to open his game offensively and know that I am a shooter and I can shoot. He's going to answer that question.
I'm going to say 39.5%. Just a tad under 40.
That's optimistic.
It's about what he shot last year.
Who do you think you're talking to here?
But I'm saying that means you think the offense is going to be good.
Of course, yes. I think the offense is going to be great.
But didn't you just say it would take a step back? But he's going to shoot 40%.
No, you're not
he's
listening. I did not say that at all.
Break it down.
I did not say that at all.
Let's hear
What
it.
I said is if they ran the exact same offense as they did last year and subbed in Christian Braun for KCP, it would be worse.
Okay.
Because he's a worse shooter.
Right.
But I think they're going to tweak some stuff. I think they're going to adjust. He's going to be a screener. They're going to get out and transition more. He's going to offensive rebound and create second chance points. So I think the offense is going to be fine. And I think he's going to be about as good of a shooter as he was last year this year.
I'll say 38% because it's higher volume, but I think that's a good result. Like if he shot the same number with the starters at higher volume, I think we'd all be like, that's good. To Adam's point, nothing like a liability in the regular season. Maybe there's some game planning stuff in the playoffs you have to figure out. 38% would be respectable. I'll add a wrinkle. I think it flips. I think he's better from the corners this year than above the break. And I think there's a big emphasis on him getting to the corners as part of the starting unit. But again, like I don't know if he needs to light the world on fire from three. Be consistent, hit the open ones. Can he bring new wrinkles to the offense? That's my hope.
I'm going to go 36.9%.
Wow.
I think it's decent. I think that's probably about what he is. He will get a lot of open looks. I think he'll have droughts, though. The thing about his role last year was you get in one or two shots. There will be games this year where he takes 5 or 6 threes. Out of necessity, you're just open. That's how they're guarding you tonight. And I think there'll be nights where he goes 0 for 5, 0 for 6, 1 for 5, 1 for 6. I don't think it'll be the norm, but I do think in aggregate it is going to weigh it down just a little bit. I don't think he's a bad shooter. I don't think he's a great one. 36.9% sounds about right for me.
You're kicked out of Browntown.
I'm kicked out of
Banished.
Browntown. Let's find out if Tim Legler is in Browntown. Let's go to hear what he has to say about his shooting form. All right, we got Tim Legler here, my co-host on the All-NBA show, who you can check out 4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, up on the All-NBA YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Legs, right now we're breaking down Christian Braun's shooting form. He replaces KCP, a great knockdown shooter, and Christian Braun shot well last year, 39% from 3, but his mechanics don't look as fluid. What do you see when you see his catch and shoot 3-point shot?
Yeah, first of all, I think of the 4 shooters that you and I are going to talk about, I think there's the most room for potential growth of Christian Braun of any of them, because I think there are things mechanically that he can clean up. I think his offhand, his left arm, sometimes it's inconsistent with his placement and how he finishes it. And sometimes there's too much separation between his arms when he releases the basketball. I would clean that up first. Your hands and arm placement should be much closer together to your body when you release the basketball than his. His arms kind of separate at the end. His wrist action, very, very good. And that's very promising. Great rotation on the ball because the ball's coming off his fingertips the way that it should. And the proper 2 fingertips are the last thing to touch it. That's really positive. I think overall, to me, you know what I say when I sense when I watch Christian Braun? He's never been a guy in his whole life that's been taking 350 NBA range jump shots a day in the offseason. If I were, because he's never had to, that's not been his game. His game is really athletic, strong finisher in the open court, right? Put it on the ground and like get into the lane, slash from the weak side. I got news for Christian Braun. You want to add value to your game and make a ton of money going forward? You should be taking 350 shots a day from 25 feet in the offseason and tightening up your mechanics the best you can. But more than anything else, it's repetition with him. I just don't think he's ever fully committed to that. And now he's finally going to be put in that position to do it. And I want to see what the results will yield.
He's a rare example of a guy that shot better from above the break by a wide margin than he did the corners. Is that just variance in your opinion? Or do you think that sometimes guys are just better from specific spots around the perimeter?
No, they definitely are. You have spots you're more comfortable in that you're better. I mean, the best of the best know that they're all the same to them. But for somebody, again, that's not been his wheelhouse to take deep NBA level 3-point shots in his career, I'm sure there are certain places on the court that are going to be more comfortable to him. That'll all be cleared up through repetition. I just don't think he's ever really been challenged to that extent. And I think he needs to challenge himself now with the opening there with KCP not being there. Those opportunities are going to be extended to him, particularly if he starts making 3-point shots at a higher rate. Now you've got tremendous value that you bring in addition to your athleticism and your defensive ability.
Well, there you go.
Brutal stuff from Legs, if I'm honest.
You knew it. You knew he was going to say that. Let's play a little over-under, fellas, shall we? Over-under. I like this one. Wow. 100 offensive rebounds. Only 3 guards did this in 2024, like true guards. There were some guard-forward combos like Josh Hart or what have you. But I have Josh Giddey. I have Pajemski in Golden State. And then Scotty Barnes is really more of a wing, not even a guard, more of a wing. So I don't even know if he counts. But as a true guard, a shooting guard, I think he grabs 100 offensive rebounds. He had 79 last year. Over or under?
79?
79's a lot.
70's not a lot. He did also play with worse shooters. That's also a thing.
There were more rebounds.
A lot more rebounds to go get.
Yeah.
And it's not like he didn't play minutes last year. He played a lot of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
1,650. I think he's going to play about 500 more minutes. That's 1/3 more minutes.
I'm going to say under, but it's close.
Ooh.
Like, I'm thinking like 95 range. This is something Christian should do. I hope there's an emphasis on it from Coach Malone. I expect there will be. He is capable. I love the Josh Hart comp because I think sometimes Christian goes and gets rebounds that I'm like, that's Josh Hart. He had no business getting that. It was pure hustle or someone overlooked me and didn't box me out. Christian can do this. I'm going to say just under.
Okay.
I'll say just under 2. There's a lot of guys that rebound the ball that he's going to be playing with.
That's a great point.
That's a really good
Really good
Jokic,
rebounder. Yeah.
Decent rebounder if you haven't seen.
That's true.
Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, Russell Westbrook, who's probably going to be playing with him a bunch too.
That's a good point,
So
man.
he's a great rebounder. I could see it going up from what it was last year a little bit, but I'll still go under.
I'm going to go over.
Let's go.
It is over. Really, that is like his bread and butter. That is what separates him, and he has that type of motor where you talk about maybe adjusting their offense. The Nuggets are going to adjust their offense, and this is a success for him. I think that he's going to be slashing. He's going to be a person that goes after every single board. So you might see a lot of those like fouls because he's trying to get tip-ins and things like that. But I do think he gets the offensive rebounds and keeps plays alive.
I'm with Dev on this one. I'm going over. I'm tempted to go way over, but I'm just going to go slight over because
You're back in Browntown.
I'm back in Browntown. Because I do think that you're right about all the different rebounders there, that there will only be so much. And I will tell you this, he is going to be used as a full court presser, and oftentimes the ball hawk stops transition. You don't go for the glass. You go for the point guard to just slow things down. And I wonder if Malone is going to emphasize that portion of his game. He might be right to do so. But I still think he's a great rebounder. So I just think he's going to grab 100 of those things. Offensive boards. Let's get bold, though.
Let's
that
do
wasn't
it.
bold enough. Let's get really bold. I'll go first today.
Okay.
I think he is going to have a plus 15 net rating alongside Jokic and Murray. Now, why do I give that number?
Yeah.
Because that is in line with Aaron Gordon, who had the best net rating last year. I think it was 14.9 alongside those two. Alongside Michael Porter Jr., who was like 14.0, and KCP, who was like plus 12 or something alongside, or plus 13. I don't think there's going to be a drop-off. If you give him Jokic and Murray, and he plays alongside of them, maybe the offense is a little lower, but the defense is a little better as well.
Okay.
I think the net rating is going to be as good, if not slightly better than last year.
Interesting. That's a good bold prediction.
It's bold, baby.
I predict that Christian Braun's going to average 10 plus points per game. I think it will be right around 10 though. Like
10.0.
if I had to go over under, I'd set it at like 10.0 for sure.
Okay, and you would take the over on that.
Yeah, 10.1.
So last year he averaged 7.3.
Yep.
KCP 10.1.
Yep.
Reggie Jackson 10.2.
Yep.
Shout
So
out
you
Reggie
think right
Jackson.
there in that
I
line?
think right there in that little range. He's just going to play a ton.
Yeah.
He's like a workhorse, man. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a guy who played in all 82 games this year.
He is a workhorse man.
He's going to play close to 30 minutes a game, I think. He's going to start.
Yeah.
There's just going to be opportunities. The offensive rebounding, he'll get buckets from that. The full court runouts, the Hail Marys, passes from Yoke. He'll get to 10, I think.
I think this is going to be a year where you start to see like something new. And it's much of the same, like for everyone else. Like, you got to talk about how great of a player Bruce Brown was when he was alongside Nikola Jokic. You got to see how good KCP was when he's alongside Nikola Jokic. Now it's a new person that comes in, Christian Braun, where he puts the rest of the league on notice of, I am an elite defender, and now everyone else gets to see that on a night-to-night basis. We always talk about how much people need Nikola Jokic, but never the opposite of how much does he need other people. He's going to open up the offense and everything's going to go there. But what Christian Braun's going to do is he's going to open up the defense. He's going to be the anchor and the defensive person that everyone goes through. I think he's going to finish top 15 in defensive win shares this year.
Ooh.
Top 15.
Ooh. The hard thing about that is he doesn't get any steals.
Some first-team buzz.
But you could get it in blocks, you could get it in rebounds and
All
like
right.
stopping that.
Yeah.
Can he put himself into like the kind of next tier down version of Alex Caruso conversations? Do people around the league are
Why
like,
a tier down? I mean, the thing about Caruso is he's a little smaller. You know, it's almost like the KCP equation.
Just because Caruso is already established as a
Yeah,
lead, but
yeah.
can he get himself into that like? And not just the race comp, but people start saying you're Alex Caruso's, you're Christian
Yeah.
Brown's. Can he sneak into that combo?
I'd love that. Nuggets are playing really well if that's the case. Vote bold.
Yeah, so we talked about him having to hit shots, maybe defenses guarding Denver needing, daring Christian Braun to hit shots. Made me think of another player that's now a fixture in this starting lineup, but had to acclimate to the starting lineup, and they had to get used to him. That's Aaron Gordon. And once upon a time, this dynamic led to maybe among my 3 favorite regular season shots in Nuggets history.
Ooh.
You guys remember when Jokic had one of his filthiest passes ever to a wide open Aaron Gordon in the corner? He hits a game-winning 3.
Against the Clippers.
I think Christian Brown's going to hit a game-winning 3 on the other end of a Jokic assist at some point in these 82 games.
That'd be
Monte
awesome.
Morris, Gary Harris, Aaron Gordon,
Christian
Brown. It does kind of feel. Doesn't that kind of feel like
He's
the
in the
same?
category,
He's in
yeah.
the category.
Couldn't a defense be ready for Murray, Jokic,
Yep.
Gordon, Porter?
Kick to the
We
corner.
forgot
Gotta
about
leave
Christian
somebody.
Brown. We
Yep.
forgot about or not even.
I'm
we
not
dared-
gonna lie. That would be a vibe. A Christian Brown game winner. I hope
True
yours is
buzzer
right.
beater from Christian Brown, but it's a Jokic assist.
This is the least consequential of all of our bold predictions,
But
the
it's
one,
bold.
The one I most want to come
bold.
true.
Yeah.
Everybody, let us know your bold prediction for Christian Brown down in the comments below. Do us a favor and hit the like. Check out all of our other previews. We'll see you on the other side.